And we're live. Maybe. I think we are. So if you're in the chat room, say hi. There is no chat room right off the bat. I should stop and start again. Just like the President's Council on Reopening America that never actually started. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. So this is about a half an hour of President Trump announcing National Nurses Day. And yeah, I'm just going to roll through most of it, trying to minimize my interruptions, because a lot of these fact checks I've done before in the last couple of days. Some of them are new. I'll highlight a couple of them. Hey, Aldous, yo. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so I know we're live now. We'll get going in a second here. This is from the Oval Office. This is Trump announcing a proclamation that it's National Nurses Day. And then before we're too far into it, he blames nurses for lying about not having the right protection. At one point, you can see this nurse over here. He asked her about the personal protective equipment. No, I'm lying. It might be this one right here. One of these nurses over on this side says, yeah, I mean, we've had enough. We've changed the way we're doing things. In other words, for example, some of the people working level 2 nurses in the Veterans Administration, they've been given 2 masks per month. And they've been told 1 week you wear 1 mask. The next week you wear the next mask. Then it's back to the first mask. And then this is how they're instructed. It's just using fingers. Okay, let's get going, guys. Hey, Stephanie, Aldous. I'm sure there's some other people in here too. For those of you who are having trouble chatting, try going to YouTube. YouTube.com/KevinLeeFather. People who have trouble chatting on Twitter can usually figure it out there. Facebook. If you're on Facebook, send me a message. We'll see if it appears up at the top in the chat window over there. My hands are cut over there. That's the chat window. If you're just seeing this and there's that chat window, you can't click on that. I just put that up there because it takes all the chats from all over and puts them together for us so you can see what the people on the other platforms are saying. So if you're having trouble, just go to YouTube. It seems to work for everybody. And if you're on Twitter, I think you might need Periscope if you're on your phone. Anyway. Here we go. Let's get to the craziness.
This is the big, I'm sure you've all been here many times.
Let me know on volume levels. I'm going to pump him up a little bit.
Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, you mentioned the coronavirus task force. Yesterday, we're told that there were discussions of winding it down. Maybe by the beginning of June. You tweeted out this morning that it will continue indefinitely. What's the rationale for
Well, it's
continuing?
had great success, and Mike Pence has done a fantastic job. Whether it was on ventilators, when we started, we didn't have ventilators, and we got them built very quickly. And
we did.
Now we're giving them to
we had
other countries
13,000
all over the world that are desperate for ventilators. There's been no person
Hey,
in
Denise.
this whole country, in our whole country, that hasn't had a ventilator. If they needed it, you probably saw that.
A lot of people didn't go to the
It
hospital.
was really
No
tough.
health insurance, or they were
And,
scared,
got them built
or
so
it
fast.
came on
was
so
really an
suddenly they were
incredible
dead in an hour.
mobilization. Not since World War II has anything happened with not only ventilators but everything else. Testing.
Did we use a lot of
Really
ventilators in
well.
World War II?
And the task force has done a great job. And I had a meeting yesterday. I had a meeting this morning, probably even more importantly. And so we'll be leaving the task force indefinitely. We'll see. You know, at a certain point that'll end like things end. But we'll be adding some people to the
Like your
task
presidency.
force, and there'll be more in the neighborhood probably of opening our country up, because our country has to get open again, and the people want it to be open, but we have to open it up safely. So we'll be adding 2 or 3 additional members to the task force. There may be 1 or 2 that will be less involved, that were more involved with the original formation of the ventilator and the ventilator systems, but
I don't know,
if
Steph.
they want to stay, they can, because they really did a fantastic job. So at a certain point, we won't need the task force, but we're going to leave that. We're going to add a couple of people to it, and that will, again, be for the opening of our country. We're opening, you know, if you think about it, we're opening our country again. We had the most successful economy in history for any country anywhere
No,
in the
we didn't
world.
have the most successful.
And then they
Anyway,
came, I was sitting right here, and they said, sir, we're going to have to close it. I said, close what? Basically, we're going to have to close our country. And just like you said with the...
close what?
I said, is it important that they not be together? It's not a question, right? It's not a question. You can't have the family together. It's so sad.
Just imagine a scene from the West Wing where the door of the Oval Office swings open. Chief of Staff enters unannounced. Sir, we're going to have to close it.
So anyway, we did something that we did the right move. We saved millions of lives by doing what we did, but it's unbelievably tough.
Drinking word, let's make it testing.
And most countries throughout the world did something similar. But this affected 182, 184 countries, and it's a very sad thing.
187
Very sad thing.
plus.
So we're keeping the task force for a period of time. I look forward to when we can close the task force, because then the job
He
will
invented
be
vague book.
essentially, hopefully, over, Mike, right?
A period of time,
done a fantastic
a very
job.
short period of time.
Yes.
At some point, we'll see what happens.
What you said yesterday about winding down the task force and
Well,
now
I think,
saying you're
yeah,
gonna keep it, because it is
yeah. Well,
different from what you
Yesterday, he said he
Well,
was
I guess
ending the
if you
task
think
force.
We're always winding it down, but it's a question of what the end point it is. But I think it is a change a little bit. I thought we could wind it down sooner, but I had no idea how popular the task force is until actually yesterday. When I started talking about winding it down, I'd get calls from very respected people saying, I think it would be better to keep it going. It's done such a good job. It's a
That's how the
respected
presidency
task
works.
force. It's,
He makes a decision, somebody calls him, very
I
respected
knew it
people.
myself. I didn't know whether or not it was appreciated by the public, but it is appreciated by the public. When you look at the job,
It doesn't
we've done
really
on
do
everything,
much. I
on
mean, honestly, he
supplies,
could
on
get rid of the
everything.
task force and it
The
would make no
gowns,
difference.
The gloves, the masks you saw yesterday.
Okay, yeah, in terms of getting stuff together, remember he said at first that we weren't a stock boy. The federal government wasn't well, he didn't say stock boy. What did he say? A stock room. We're not a stock room or stock shipping supply. Whatever he said, something idiotic. And of course, that's what they are. They're the federal stockpile. But as we all know, the federal stockpile isn't for the people. It's for Jared. I stopped him to say something, and then I just got wandering. I feel like Trump. I should be president.
The mask. We were at a factory yesterday, a great company, Honeywell. And in a period of 4 days, they took a big factory, essentially 4 days, a little longer, 2 weeks, but it was really most of the work done in 4 days.
In a period of 4 days, a little longer than 2 weeks. Okay, it was a month and a half. Okay, well, I mean, this is back in Obama did it, and
They took a big plant that did other things and they converted it into masks. You have to see, it's actually a complicated process, but they have unbelievable equipment and they're doing millions of masks out of this factory, and that took place so quickly. And that was all because of the task force. I mean, all of this happened because of the people working within the administration. And something I
shipping
didn't
clerk.
know,
He
Mike,
said
is
shipping
take
clerk. Thank you,
different
Jan
layers
Dors.
of material and compress it, put it together. Because one layer is good for something, one layer is good for something else, one layer is good for very tiny particles. I mean, it's really, you think of it as a mask.
He had no
They make it very
idea
good.
that
This is really
N95
something that's
masks
very special.
had
So,
layers.
So the task force will be around.
You know,
until
he was saying
we
scarves
feel
were
it's
probably
not
the best.
necessary. But I will say that I learned yesterday,
Hey, Dennis.
even after I spoke, Jeff,
Hi, Dee.
that the
Hey,
task
Shannon.
force is something you knew. It's very respected. People said,
Hi,
we should
Marcia.
keep it going.
Marcy?
So
Marcia?
let's keep it going, and so we'll be doing that. But we'll be adding some people to it.
Marcy.
We have a whole list of people that want to be on, and we have a list of people that we want.
I'll do it.
And nobody is, I'll tell you that, I will say this, nobody's ever turned me down to be on that task force. It's very, nobody's turned me down for anything, to be honest. When we have a committee,
Who's the guy twirling his thumbs? That is an excellent question. That guy is America.
like we had the various committees, the sports committee, the commissioners, everybody wants to be on everything we do. The business committees, it's never had anybody say, gee, I'd rather not be on that committee. You know, it's very important. So,
Oh
we'll
my
be
God.
announcing-
Okay, you guys, I was just talking about this. You guys remember in the middle of April, about April 12, 13, 14, 15, somewhere there, 4 days ago, Trump announced the Business Council to reopen America, and he stood in the Rose Garden and announced like 100 people, 100 CEO, the CEO of Pfizer, the leader of the AFL-CIO, all of these people who had no idea that they were going to be announced, and they were going to have this big council to reopen America, the Business Council to reopen America. And then we've heard nothing because the council never happened. So, yes, people turned down being on his task force. Says
I would say by Monday, we'll be
this
announcing
this could take all day.
2 or 3 new members to the task force. Okay?
Mr. President, on the issue of the reopening, it seems
Oh, hold on. This is Wednesday? I have no idea. TGI, whatever. On Sunday night, he announced in the next 1 or 2 days that he was going to release the information that he received about the coronavirus back in January, February. He said something about releasing the intelligence reports so that we could all see that the intelligence community didn't make it seem like the coronavirus was a big deal. And even though they didn't, he still banned China and saved millions of life. It is now Wednesday, so that's 3 days later. He said he'd be doing it within the next day or two. He's not good with saying what's going to happen in the next couple of days. I remember...
When you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to 0, that's a pretty good job we've done.
Back at Trump.
little question that by beginning the reopening process and continuing it, there will likely be more cases of coronavirus, more deaths than there would have been had everything stayed shut down. Will the nation just have to accept the idea that by reopening, there will be more cases, there will be more
So I
deaths?
call these people warriors, and I'm actually calling now, as you know, John, the nation warriors. You have to be warriors. We can't keep our country closed down for years, and we have to do something. And hopefully that won't be the case, John, but it could very well be the case. You won't be locked in a house.
Very
Some
well
people,
could be the case that more people die.
should stay if
They're
you're
not
over a
warriors,
certain
they're
age. I mean,
martyrs.
you've seen that, right? Elderly people, or
By the way, my
especially
sister's a
elderly
nurse, so
people
I'm
with-
all
with a
pro-nurse,
problem.
but come
They have a
on.
problem. It attacks these people viciously. And I think they will be staying back, and we're strongly recommending that they do that. We're saying over 60, and especially over 60 if you have diabetes or heart problems or whatever problem.
Or
you
under
might
60.
have. So,
I wanted to
we
show
have
you
to
guys
get a-
this. So, Georges Jarac, who is a hockey player, some people would call him a goon, some people would call him an enforcer. He's like 7'8". He's a giant specimen of a human being. Let's see, I've got pictures of him. There he is. And you can see over here, he's playing for the Edmonton Oilers. He played for the Edmonton Oilers for years. That is the best team in the NHL right before things shut down. And then there's a lot of pictures of him. You'll find him wearing this C and an H uniform there. Not sure who that, I think that's when he played high school hockey. That's my best guess for that. Anyway, huge specimen of a human being. Got the coronavirus. There's an article in the New York Post about him today where he can't even breathe getting out of bed. Before coronavirus, he was training for a marathon, running 10 kilometers a day. That's like, I don't know, half a mile, no idea. Anyway, now he can't get out of bed because of the coronavirus. And he's 42, not 60 plus. This disease can attack anyone, and it is dangerous for the authority figures to run around saying, yeah, like, oh, 60, 65, we could go as high as 70. Where was Trump? I'm angry. So angry.
our country open again, and you see it. Look, you cover it. People want to go back. You're going to have a problem if you don't do it. If you don't do it, you've got a very big problem.
How close are we to a permanent problem if we don't reopen the country?
Well, I think people won't stand for it. Actually, I don't think our people will stand for it. Now, what I really
Stand
believe
for it?
People will be able to do is, at a certain age, they'll stay back longer.
What are we going to do?
But
Impeach you?
this virus is going to disappear. It's a question of when. Will it come back in a small way? Will it come back in a fairly large way? But we know how to deal with it now much better. You know, nobody knew anything about it initially. Now we know we can put out fires. We can
There's
put
still
out
no vaccine.
embers if it's a small or if it's a fire.
If it's a fire, we don't have
Hot
water
spot, we can
yet.
Put it out. But we can't have our whole country out. Can't do it. The country won't take it. It won't stand it. It's not
I
sustainable.
love Aaron.
And I
Rupar.
think you're going to have a
D.
tremendous transition, which is a third quarter thing. I think you're going to have a good fourth quarter. I think next year is going to be an incredible year economically.
Because you'll be gone.
And with that being said, if somebody lost somebody, a parent or a wife or a husband or
Can't be replaced with
any
money. Yes, we
brothers,
get it.
sisters, if you lost someone,
He's been
you can
told to
never
say
make up
this.
for that by saying, "Wow, you're going to have a great year next year economically," and so you can never do that. But I will say that from an economic standpoint, I think next year is going to be a very big year. There's tremendous demand. You see it with the stock market, where the stock market's at 24,000, and we went through the worst attack we've ever had on our country. This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl
Is he talking about
Harbor.
the election?
This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this,
Wow.
and it should have never happened. Could have been stopped at the source. Could have been stopped in China. It should have been stopped right at the source, and it wasn't. Okay.
Mr. President, 20 states have begun reopening without meeting those gating criteria that you're.
Sherry, that's all I've got right now.
I've given the leeway to the governors. If I see something wrong, we'll stop it. But I have given leeway to the governors to make that decision. You have some,
I've given leeway
governors, most
to
of
the
whom I have
governors
respect
because
for. They're
that's
working very hard.
the
They're
law.
watching very closely. But we've given leeway to the governors to make those decisions.
Leeway.
And unemployment.
Governors have that right.
Projections that show unemployment for the month of April could be as high as 15%. Are you worried about that number? Are you also worried that Democrats
Well, there's
are
nothing.
going to blame you for it?
There's no, I don't think they can. They're not blaming me. You know, it's very interesting. It's one thing.
Hold on,
Nobody's
'cause-
blaming me for that.
Oh, he's
I built
talking about
the greatest
unemployment.
economy with a lot of great people that we've ever had, and I'm going to rebuild it again. We're going to have a great economy
What
very
did he
soon.
just say?
Nobody's blaming.
Worried about that number? Are you also worried that Democrats
Well, there's
are going to
nothing.
blame you for it?
There's no, I don't think they can. They're not blaming me. You know, it's very interesting. It's one thing. Nobody's blaming me for that. I built the greatest economy with a lot of great people that we've ever had, and I'm going to rebuild it again. We're going to have a great economy very soon, much sooner than people think. Much sooner now. We cut taxes and we do things that you have to do. If somebody comes along and raises taxes and does all of the nonsense that they're talking about, you'll have a crash like you've never seen before. But this was artificially induced. This
Thumb
was an
twirling guy is back, and they're trying to cut him
artificially
off camera.
induced Unemployment.
I'm gonna
All
go back
of the
just a second
nonsense
here.
that they're talking about, you'll have
Hold
a
on,
crash like
hold
you've
on.
never seen
There it
before.
is. He's back.
But this was artificially induced.
And they're just going to
This was
move the
an
camera. We're going to pan
artificially
slightly to get
induced
rid of Thumb Guy.
Unemployment. This was where we said we're taking.
Hold
the
on. I'm going
greatest
to catch up
economy.
on the chat here, guys, because the reason we do this is for you. Spike the camera like Trump did yesterday. It shouldn't be called the Lincoln Committee. No, wait, what's it called? The Lincoln Log? The Lincoln, oh, yeah. Shouldn't be called the Lincoln Project. It should be called the Loser Project. Okay, D. I thank him every day for listening to all this crap. Oh, you're thanking me? I'm assuming. You're welcome. Not a single mask in the room. Those people have all been tested before they meet the president. That's the way they do things. Because, you know, Kevin Lee daughter has had a headache for days that we can't get rid of. We're in Seattle right now, the original epicenter. Her brother is sick with many symptoms. I can't find anywhere to test her. You know, because everybody who wants a test. Should I even play that again? Just in case we forget.
Anybody that wants a test can get a test. That's what
I would
the
just
bottom
say
line
that we
Not a single mask. Yep. Whatever happened to Dr. Fauci? He's out there. He's working. He just doesn't, like, he wouldn't be in the Oval Office for this sort of thing. I think Dr. Scarf is there. We'll find out later. I gave you a right you already have. Yeah, exactly, Sherry. He's giving us a right we already have. It's like my 5-year-old telling me I don't have a 5-year-old. Let's just imagine with me. It's like a 5-year-old giving me permission to set the bedtime. Vicen 3. Have I seen you before, Vicen? Hi, Vicen. Thanks for joining in. Hopefully I will survive until November to vote this clown out. Yes, and hopefully you live in a swing state so your vote counts. That's another video altogether. Who isn't blaming him? Republicans, 96% approval rating? Exactly. Aldous, I'm all in. Thumb Guy 2020. Here we go.
in the history of the world, because that's what it was.
It wasn't.
Most people in our country, almost 160 million people, we were never close. And
Well,
we
the
had to turn
population
it off.
increases. So.
One day, it turned off. Nothing like that's ever happened before. But by doing that, we have saved millions
9/11.
of lives. But now we're going to make our comeback, and the comeback is going to be a very strong one. And I'll be meeting you in a little while because, as you know, we have a
Quick question.
very
just
good
before we go,
governor.
Is this healthcare related? Today is the deadline.
Oh, so D, you meant to say, you actually said you loved Aaron Rupar and not me. what the hell we've started anyway, but I'm crushed. For the record.
For the White House, if it wants to modify its argument before the Supreme Court about invalidating Obamacare to do it, will you continue with the plan to completely invalidate the ACA, or
So what
would
we
you,
want to
as,
do is we want to, we're not doing anything. In other words, we're staying with the group, with Texas and the group. But just so you understand, Obamacare is a disaster, but we've run it very well.
Hey, Chris.
And we've made it barely acceptable. It was a disaster under President Obama.
We've run Obamacare so well, and we've made it barely acceptable.
And it's very bad health care. What we want to do is terminate it and give great health care, and we'll have great health care, including pre-existing conditions.
We want to terminate
100%
health care.
Pre-existing conditions. Now, we've already pretty much killed it because we got rid of the individual mandate. Now, in getting rid of the individual mandate, which was by far the most unpopular thing in Obamacare, that's where for the privilege of paying a fee, you don't have to buy health insurance at a ridiculous price for not good health insurance. It was a terrible thing. You were mandated to pay something in order not to pay.
Aw, I love all
And
you guys.
We got rid of that. That's gone. And nobody thinks it's ever going to come back. But what we are doing is we want to terminate health care.
There it is. We want to
under
terminate. What we are
Obamacare,
doing is we
and-
want to terminate
and
health care.
And nobody thinks it's ever going to come back. But what we are doing is we want to terminate health care for under Obamacare.
Everyone.
It's bad. And we're replacing it with a great health care at far less money, and it includes
That we can't find out about.
conditions. There will never.
Let's go over the history of that. In 2017, in April, May, he said, we got a big surprise on healthcare. The new plan is coming. And then that was he said in 2 weeks. He actually put a timeline on that. He said in 2 weeks. And then there was our friend John McCain at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night, as Trump says, because, it matters when you do it in the Senate. Because if it's done at 2 p.m., it actually counts for 70% more than at 2 a.m. Anyway, so John McCain killed that. There's the hand. Look at this. Can I do it? Yeah. Vote Kevin. And then he was going to reveal the health care plan, but only if they won the House and the Senate after the 2018 midterms. And as we know, he got crushed in the House by the blue wave. So we didn't get our health care plan as punishment. And now the election is, 8, 9 months. Where are we? I don't even know. If time existed, the election would be in a few months. And he's told us that he'll release the election or the healthcare plan after the election, but only if he wins again and they win the Senate again and they win the House back. So we better start behaving ourselves or literally we're going to die.
Never be a time when we don't have pre-existing conditions included. So what I'm saying then, John, is...
AJ, you're claiming that it's May now? Yeah, but that's Canada, so that's metric months.
We're going to replace Obamacare with great health care at a lesser price, and pre-existing conditions will be included. And you won't have the individual mandate, which was expensive and terrible and very unfair to everybody. And it was very unpopular.
So Attorney General Barr's suggestion to pull back on invalidating the entire act and leave some of it in place, you're not going to go in that direction?
No, I don't know about that suggestion. I think I've spoken a lot about this to Bill Barr, and we're totally in lockstep with all of the many states that want to see much better health care.
The Republicans are in
See, I
lockstep.
don't view it as a termination. I view this as getting great health care. Because Obamacare, we run it really well. I had a decision to make. I said this yesterday. We took over Obamacare. We got rid of the individual mandate, which basically was the end of Obamacare. In a formal sense, it was really the end of Obamacare. And few people are challenging the fact that we can do that. So we got rid of the individual mandate.
Oh, Sherry, you're in one of those states that allows golf right now? Lucky. Actually, Washington State, you can play golf now. But my golf clubs were stolen out of the back of my car, and I swear to God, I have to make a video about that, and I will after I do my audition today or tomorrow, whenever I get it done. And when my car got broken into, I laughed. That's what the video is going to be about. Stay tuned.
I had a decision to make. Do I want to have Obamacare run as well as it can run? Or do I want to have it run really badly so everybody could say Obamacare is terrible? Politically, I could do the other. I should let it run badly. But I can't do that because I'm president for the people. And we
I rarely use the word saint, but
ran that much better than President Obama ran it, much better than the last administration ran it. I can't do that because I'm
going to let you into how my brain works. Listen to this again, and I'm going to fill in what my brain filled in before he finished the word.
President for the people. And we ran that much better.
And we ran that motherfucker into the ground. We killed it.
Better than I could do the other. I should
Say it with me.
Badly. But I can't do that because I'm president for the people. And we ran that much better
motherfucker into the ground. See?
President Obama ran it.
That's how my
much
brain
better
works.
Than the last administration ran it. Seema and Alex and everybody, and spent a lot of money in running it properly. It's still not good. It's still not good. But I had a decision. Do I want to run it great, or do I want to run it really badly? Politically, I should have run
I ran it great, but it's still not good. It's still not good.
it really badly, but I'm glad I made the decision to run it great. But running it great, it's still lousy health care. And
You just said it again.
We're going to do something that's going to be great health care. Always including, always having, again, the individual mandate gone, and pre-existing conditions will be taken care of. So I'm glad you asked me that question.
Mr. President, yesterday,
I'm really glad too.
we went to Arizona, and you had said before the trip that you would likely wear a mask at the mask factory. You ended up not wearing one.
Well, I actually did have one, no. I put a mask on, yeah, I had a mask on for a period of time.
We didn't see you with a mask.
Well, I can't help it if you didn't see me. I mean, I had a mask on, but I didn't need it. And I asked specifically the head of Honeywell, should I wear a mask? And he said, well, you don't need one in this territory. And
If you saw yesterday at the mask factory, everybody who is around him, that was touring around him, they all got tested right before they walked around with him. So everybody near the president gets tested. All of these people got tested. My daughter is sick and can't get tested, but anybody near the president.
as you know, we were far away from people, from the people making the masks.
Patricia, how do I vote for your dog if he makes more sense than this guy? Don't all dogs make more sense? Let me catch up on the chat here. Sherry, yeah, it's not really a golf story so much as a theft and laughter and delight story at how stupid the criminals were. Yeah, Robin, president of the people. Chris, Kim, yeah, everybody thought that was funny. He's the president for the people, which he promised to be. Remember, with his acceptance speech, he promised he would be the president for all Americans, even the haters. He often overpromises and underdelivers. And you know why? Because of Mexico. They won't pay. I had a mask on, but you haters were too stupid to see it. He actually did, I think, have a mask on. Somewhat. I can't post it. I can't do it right now. We're gonna take all day. Blah, blah, blah. Here we go.
Making the mask. But I did put a mask on, and it was a Honeywell mask, actually. And
At the
I
Honeywell
also had a
factory?
3M mask.
Actually?
I had about 4 other masks. But I did have it on. I don't know if you saw it or not, but I had it
How
on.
long did you have it on, sir?
President
Not
for
too
the
long, but
PPE.
I had it on. I had it on backstage.
Probably he started that sentence with "I had it on backwards."
But they said you didn't need it. So I
Backstage
didn't need
at a
it.
factory.
And by the way, if you noticed, nobody else had it on that was in the group.
Yeah, because they were tested.
And they were the
You
people.
saw the workers wearing them.
The workers had them on, yeah, the workers were there, yeah, because they're working next to each other. Okay?
President, what kind of
And there's not enough tests to test them all. But let's get back to work, people.
social distancing who are not wearing masks? What kind of a
Well, I can't help that. I mean, look, I'm trying to be
Ah,
nice. I'm
Chris.
signing a bill, and you criticize us.
For those of you who are just joining and you can't make the chat work, you can't make that window work. That's just putting all the chat rooms together and putting it up here. You can chat on your platform. So if you're using Twitter, I think you need Periscope. If you're on your PC, go to Twitter. But the best place is YouTube, youtube.com/KevinLeeFather. Join in the live stream there. And if you're watching this delayed, of course you can't chat. It's just, you're not Marty McFly.
Look, here's the story.
Oh, a story.
There's nothing I can do to satisfy the media, the
Anyone.
Democrats,
Anyone.
or the fake news. And I
Anyone.
understand
All of
that.
us.
We did the greatest job mobilization in history with the ventilators. And I don't think there was a story what a great job we did. Now we're helping Germany, and we're helping many other countries, France.
There were a lot of stories of the governor saying, hey, can we please get some ventilators? There were those stories. And then there was the story of him making up that there were ventilators in a warehouse and that the governor didn't know about them. Of course the governor knew about them. But you don't move them out of the warehouse. You don't take things out of storage until you need them. That's kind of how storage works.
Spain, and Italy, by the way, and Nigeria, sending 250 to Nigeria ventilators.
I heard that place is a
And
shithole.
2 months ago, we didn't have any ventilators for ourselves. The cupboards were bare, right, Deborah? They were bare. People have no idea.
Okay.
There's not a thing I can
People
do to
do have an
satisfy-
idea. The cupboards were not bare. This is Seema Verma, his own, Minister of Propaganda. But here's Seema.
So one of the things that we have to prepare for situations like this is a stockpile. And there's over 12, almost 13,000 ventilators that we have, so that if communities, hospitals, other organizations, need to have these ventilators, we can ship that out to them. So
March 13th, 13,000 ventilators. Cupboards were bare.
The fake news, and there's not a thing I can do to satisfy
That is the fake
Democrats.
news.
I watched this phony Chuck Schumer. Everyone in New York knows he's a total phony. He brought nothing back to New York except salt. You know what salt is? Bad tax policy. He brought salt back. He didn't even fight it. I watched him the
I'm not even going to explain that, but it's bull.
other night on a show, and all he could talk about was testing, testing, testing.
Testing,
And
testing,
yet I
testing.
showed a chart yesterday where our testing
That's the
is
drinking
far
word.
superior to anybody else's testing. And then the other thing is very interesting. Because we did so much more testing, we have more cases. If I did little testing, we'd have practically no cases. So the headline was,
Okay, a couple of things with the testing, and I want to show you this because this is important. He's saying, oh, we've done the most testing. Yeah, we have, but it was all too late. And so the virus seeds itself and begins to germinate and grow, and we weren't testing anybody. Do we know this for sure? Yes, we do. Here's the chart that he showed the other day, or he's been showing. Yesterday he showed it a couple of times, takes it out of his breast pocket because he always has a microphone right by his breast pocket. But he's not good with microphones. When you're a star, they let you do it. This is, I'm going to go full screen here. There we go. So these are the number of tests. And there's a bunch of countries on here. I put all the countries I could get onto this one when I was looking at it the other day. So you see the United States up here. Let's go back a day so more countries are in there. Yeah, this is the United States. 7 million tests. That's more than anybody. That's not the important part, though. In a second here, he's probably going to say that we've done more testing than all other countries combined. That's absolute, unadulterated bullshit. I mean, just look at the top countries here. United States, 7. Russia, that's 4, plus Italy, that's 2 more, plus United Kingdom, another 1.2. Now we're suddenly ahead. The next 3 countries have done more tests than the United States. But he's saying that we've done more tests than all the countries combined. He's probably going to say it here. I haven't watched this, but he probably will because he's predictable. But if I'm wrong, I'll take a drink. So the last time when I added this up on the May 1st stats, it was over 18 million. So the United States, 7 million, the rest of the world, 18 million. But in Trump's head, that 7 million is more. Now, let's go to the next slide. This is, if we take the chart back to January 21st when things got going here, we can see this is South Korea right here. You know, it's blue and slightly lighter blue for the United States. So here's South Korea. United States was not even registering testing because the CDC screwed up the test and we had no tests. All this time right here, this is where the virus germinates. Sure, now we're up here, but let's get closer. And look at the beginning right here. Here's South Korea. They were testing, 8,000, 22, 46, 96. Boom, they start to ramp up. Suddenly, right there on March 8th, March 7th, they were at 178,000 tests. The United States is at 3. Here's the other thing about that. Remember, the president has bragged a number of times, oh, hey, we shut travel down on January 31st. It was actually February 2nd. That's another topic. So back on February 2nd, they stopped travel somewhat from China. But then he claims that 40,000 people came in, because that we can statistically prove, and those 40,000 people were all tested and quarantined. If they were tested when they came back after February 2nd, why on March 7th have we only done 3,700 tests for 40,000 people? There was no testing. We literally didn't have tests because the CDC, Trump's CDC, was using contaminated testing. They screwed up and they won't take responsibility. But that's okay because you can create an ulterior universe and 96% of the GOP will just go right in, goose step, lockstep. Back to Trump. He's going to say it.
We have more cases than anyone else. Well, China has more cases than us and other big countries. You know,
No.
you're talking about big countries. But they don't want to choose, they don't want to use that. The fact is, we've done better testing, more
Testing.
testing. In fact, we've done, as of
Here it
2
comes.
days ago, more testing than the entire world together. You would add every country together.
Thanks, Jazz.
We've done substantially more testing than the entire world together.
Again, 18 plus million versus 7. In Trump's head, 7 is more.
And all I get is, oh, we have
Because, you know, they're beautiful tests. We have the beautiful tests.
more cases. You understand that. We have more cases because we do more tests.
This is where somebody in the room should say, sir, what about the deaths? Why are we so far ahead in deaths? That's not testing. That's deaths.
Testing. If I don't do testing, we don't have any cases.
Testing, hold on.
So as I do more testing, they say, but you have more cases. They're very smart, but they're very devious people. And in many cases, very bad people. And in some cases, very good ones. There's a couple of good ones.
I'm a very devious bad person.
The man who was sleeping on the floor behind you.
You're awesome, D.
Up until recently, we've heard a lot of stories of hardships on the front line owing to a shortage of PPE, masks, that sort of thing. Can you tell us, did it get bad where you
Giggity.
were, and what's the situation now compared to what it was?
Sure, there's always a lag time between what happens in real time versus when you guys get it and run it, you know. So the PPE, the ventilator situation, yes, it got to a point where it was getting bad, but manufacturing ramped up. And I think those are two things that we knew we would take care of as a country. The third thing that we can't manufacture, and I've talked about this before, is a doctor or a nurse or, you know, essential personnel. We can't just manufacture them. So ultimately, that ended up being the weakest point for us on the front lines. We had the PPE, we had the ventilators in time, but we just didn't have enough people. We couldn't get them there fast enough.
And one of the things we did is we sent in the military doctors and nurses.
I'm not sure if I'm on board with Thumb Turtle Guy anymore.
And I think most of you have seen them and some of you have worked with them.
60 Minutes just did an expose on rural Texas hospitals on Sunday. Go watch 60 Minutes. Not right now. I mean, you can pause me and come back, but then you're out of the chat room. 60 Minutes did a fantastic show this weekend, and they went into a Texas hospital, literally walked into the closet where the supplies are stored, empty shelves. But hey, we got PPE for everyone.
But they did a fantastic job. John, we had a lot of the military, like we took the Comfort because they didn't need the ship.
Wait, is Walmart jacking up the prices on Oreos? This is according to Emma. Emma, this you run to CNN, Fox, OAN. This is something that everyone can relate to.
And we took the Comfort and we took the doctors and nurses and we sent them all over.
Watch, though, it'll turn out that the prices for Oreos are being jacked up. And what will Trump say? It's fake Chews. Do you get it? Because you... Watch everyone unsubscribes from me on Patreon just for that joke. I am a dad. Hey, if you'd like to support the broadcast and subscribe to me on Patreon, you're not going to now. But if you missed that last part or couldn't hear me, then go to kevinleefather.com where you can subscribe and get your name down at the bottom like these wonderful people. These, what are they? Deceptive, awful people? Be a deceptive, awful people with me. Be deplorable. No, don't do.
All over New York and New Jersey. We took doctors and nurses out of the convention center, the Javits Convention Center, and many of them went throughout
Crickets.
New York. So we did a job. And we weren't even supposed to have doctors in the convention center, but we ended up putting them. So we had a lot
We just had a hospital
because
without
it's true.
doctors?
What you're saying is right. The man and woman power was one of the toughest things.
Mr. Luke, are you, and all of you, are you seeing now that the supplies are what they need to be?
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's sporadic. As I talk to my colleagues around the country, certainly there are pockets of areas where PPE is not ideal, but
Yes.
this is an unprecedented time. And The infection control measures that we learned back when we went to school, 1 gown, 1 mask for 1 patient a day or per time, this is a different time. And I've been reusing my N95 mask for a few weeks now. I just broke out a new one to come here just in case I needed to wear it. To answer your question earlier, we're all COVID-19
Yeah, which means that we don't have enough.
free. We were all tested, so we're not socially distancing, but we're all negative, and we wouldn't do anything to harm our president, obviously.
Oh, God, no.
Everybody's been tested.
Yeah, we were all tested.
I hope the test works, right?
So we're all tested, we're all negative, and so that's why we're not socially distancing and why we're not wearing masks. Certainly, and I've had several tests throughout this whole COVID-19 crisis. I practice in New Orleans at a community health center. My youngest patient has been 4 days old, a 4-day-old infant. So
I thought you had to be
PPE
over
has
60
been
to get it.
sporadic, but it's been manageable, and we do what we have to do. We're nurses, and we learn to adapt and do whatever the best thing that we can do for our patients to get the job done and get the care provided. And that's what we're going to continue to do as COVID-19 continues.
Sporadic for you, but not sporadic for a lot of other people.
Oh, no, I agree, Mr. President.
Because I've
Absolutely.
heard the opposite. I've
Yeah.
heard that they are loaded up with gowns.
Okay, so here's what Trump does all the time. Sporadic for you, but not for, I've heard of people who had several masks. Okay, that's fine. Some people have enough masks. Good. That's fantastic. But what she said is that a lot of people don't. There are pockets without. Trump completely dismisses that because it doesn't make him look good. That's really not how leadership is supposed to work. Where's the problem? Fix the problem.
Now and
That's interesting. That just reminds me of not a theory, but a scientific study where we don't have time for this. Maybe another time. If anybody ever sees me in person again, ask me about the scientific study of the way that women practice sports versus how males practice sports.
initially we had nothing. We had empty cupboards. We had empty shelves. We had nothing.
That's
because
not
it
true.
wasn't put there by the last administration.
Yes, thank you, Sherry. Mansplainer. I don't even know if you just heard what I said, but yes, mansplainer. That's exactly how he is. Well, yeah, there are pockets, but we inherited empty pockets.
And I've heard that we have, I just saw it yesterday, where they're making millions of masks a month in a factory from...
That will be available to the public.
It was Arizona. That's great. We have other factories.
In how many
being built now
metric
for
months,
masks.
AJ?
And for the most part, that was fine, but I've heard we have tremendous supply to almost all places.
What's he even doing there? What is
Tremendous
that?
supply. To a point where we're going to start having some of our supply go to other countries, which need it very badly. How did you find that? Did you find a good supply? Huh?
I found that we had what we needed.
Good.
We had to change
Thank
the
you.
way we did things, but
We had to change the way we did things. But sure, we've got enough if we don't go by the rules.
In my, I'm a nursing supervisor where I work at, and one of the blessings I have is my director, my assistant director, his name is Dennis Hunter. He said, you know what, you guys take care of nursing. We'll make sure we have a supply. When we all talk about the fears, it makes it so much worse for us nurses to work. We're seeing the reality of it, but to hear it on constantly, there's not enough. In reality, I'm not seeing it. I'm in a hot zone right now. I'm in South New Jersey. All right, we're very close to New
God
Jersey.
bless
You
her,
don't see
but
that when you hear the
I'm not
story.
seeing it.
she's
You know
not
what?
everywhere.
It's
She's
fake
too
news.
busy saving lives.
I have to say,
I really appreciate you saying that. It's so nice that you stepped up, because they're fake.
Oh, now he's doing his thing.
No, when I
Basically
took
hugging
over,
himself.
It's different. Now, I will say this, there was a
Wait.
period of time.
I talked over him.
but
Sorry,
because
folks.
they're fake news.
I know
So
you don't
see
tune in to
that
watch
when you
me.
hear the
I'm not
stories.
seeing
When I took over, it's different. Now, I will say this, there was a period of time, but between Russia, and all the stuff that these characters put us through, it's not so easy. And despite that, I've done more than any other president in history in the first 3 years as
Okay, just ignore that. So what he's saying there is that, yes, at the beginning we didn't have enough supplies, but that's because of the previous administration completely negating the fact that he was in office for 3 years. Plus, they also didn't renew the contract on some of the ventilator maintenance, so we had a lot fewer ventilators than we should have. That's another story. And the reason that he didn't replenish the supplies, Democrats, with their Russia, 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 and their impeachment hoax and all the other stuff, that completely incapacitated him.
As president. And you can look at that from any way you want to look at it, from rebuilding the military.
Oh, he's talking about doing more than any other president.
I've done more than any other president in history in the first 3 years as president. And you can look at that from any way you want to look at it, from rebuilding the military to cutting taxes to getting rid of regulations at a level that
to a number of Americans who've died during my watch. I mean, even just the last, you take the last 4 days.
Siege, by the way. So,
or
you know, we've done,
2
but
months.
I really appreciate your statement. That was really beautiful, and we
The
did.
issue of masks, I mean, I remember at the beginning of this crisis that you all were encouraging
We
people
didn't have enough.
not to wear them in order to have it for
You're
them.
right, but
So
that was
there
at
was
the-
not enough at the beginning.
You're right, Jeff, and the reason that we did such a good job is because we were able, now we have factories all over doing masks and building our own masks and doing them, because a lot of countries, I don't want to be specific, but they sent us masks which were totally.
Just to recap there, you said not to wear masks so that we had enough for the nurses, for the medical staff at the beginning. That's right. And the reason we did such a good job, I was like, how does that even make sense in terms of the Englishing? Let's go to the chat room. Hey, Kim. Hey, Robin. No, he wasn't a shipping clerk, so he wasn't going to send out those supplies at first. So someone in the administration figured out, no, you know what, they're still confiscating medical equipment, so I'm not giving them a pass on any of this. There's no competence. Let's see, Sherry, we had full cupboards in February. Oh, the chat room just jumped on me. Full enough to send China some supplies. Actually, those were donated supplies, but yes, I'm going to agree with you, just because I'm at my wit's end with this. Sherry, I drive a Dodge Stratus. That's what happens with the delay and my own ignorance. I'm not sure where you're going with that, Sherry, but I like it, and good for you. Buy American. Al County still doesn't want us to wearing medical masks. Yeah, no county wants you wearing medical grade masks because, there's still not enough supply. There's not even close to enough supply. If you take the country as a whole, again, watch 60 Minutes from this last Sunday. Let's move on because, we're almost done.
Garbage, and they were defective. And they sent us other equipment which was defective. And so now we're building our own masks, we're doing our own masks, we're making them by the millions. And Honeywell in Arizona yesterday was a case in point. And that was some scene. I've never seen anything like it. And I didn't realize, as they put different layers and then they put it together and each layer has a different function. I mean, it's not just like...
Am I going nuts, or did he not just say that like 15 minutes ago?
Taking a thing and wrapping it, as we said, perhaps you can do in certain conditions, but certainly not inside of a hospital.
Oh, I get it, Sherry. Okay.
No, we ended up, we had an empty cupboard, and now we have full cupboards, and we have ventilators, and we have tremendous testing.
Yep.
We're doing the antibodies very shortly, as you probably know. That's going to also, there are a lot of people that don't believe in such big testing, Deborah. You have some people that want to test everything, 15 different ways. Mostly that's the media, because they know, certain things can't be done.
You have people trying to test everything 15 different ways, and then flushing it down the toilet 10 to 15 times, and then you turn on the tap, and sharp water comes out.
But we have tremendous testing right now. When you see that chart, I don't have it with me now, I guess they have it someplace in the room.
I have
When
it.
you see the chart that I put up yesterday as I was interviewed by one of your friends on ABC, that chart says it better than anything I can say.
It certainly
You saw the line
does.
going? We're
It
like a
really
rocket
does.
ship. Everyone else is down here in testing. And then all they do is complain about the testing. So look,
Testing.
we get used to that. But I really appreciate the fact that what you said. And we do
We
have
were
really
out of
great,
bullets.
And not only do we have great equipment, but we have the
Larry, you can watch
quality
it
of
on
what we have
rewind
is far
at the
better
end of
than
this.
anything that we're
Although,
getting, because we see
if
what
you
comes
do,
in. The quality of
I'm
the
worried
gowns,
about you, Larry.
the quality of the masks. We have, as of today, we got 1 billion gloves. 1 billion. Who ever heard of such a thing? At
Maybe,
the beginning, we
but
had
we
none.
don't, because he's saying
When
it.
this all started, we had none. It's one of
We
the
had no-
greatest
we had-
mobilizations. It's a war.
We had no gloves when this started. I'm guessing he's talking about the stockpile. But yeah, we did.
And it's one of the greatest mobilizations, so it's been very successful.
President, one more question about reopening. The initial forecast showed that the real decline in the infection curve would be about June the 1st. Latest forecasts have pushed that now back to August. And I'm wondering what the ramifications might be for certain reopenings, particularly schools, which begin to go back near the beginning of August.
I mean, I'll just address one part of that. The school should open. The one thing you should be careful of is when instructors are over 60, especially if they have a problem. That you should be, but the school should definitely open, in my opinion. Could you answer the other part, Deborah?
So I think you're referring to the model that looks at mortality.
We talked about this.
And the mortality is very variable. That model has gone from 60,000 now to 134,000. Obviously, we track mortality very closely. You can see the rate of new hospitalizations has gone dramatically down, and so we're following that and mortality very closely. And so we all know about models, and that's why we follow the data.
Trump knows about models.
Metro by metro, and you know, we have represented here New Orleans that has moved through a very large peak and has come down the other side. Same.
Wait, did Dr. Scarf purposely match that to the books behind her? God damn, she's impressive.
With Detroit, we continue to watch Chicago very carefully. We know that both Boston.
Hey, congratulations, everyone. We reached 100 messages in the chat window. Good job. Larry brought up an interesting point. Canada still has you beat by 1,000 tests per million. Possibly. They were ahead of us. I haven't checked in a couple of days. Let's pull that up, kids. These are the tests. Again, we've got the best tests. We've got the most tests. We've got more tests than all the other countries combined. Let's take a look at the chart of the tests per 100,000 population, which is in other words per capita. Let me get rid of me. Here we go. So we must be up at the top here somewhere. United Arab Emirates. That's probably a typo. That should say United States. That's where we are. So that's 12,000 tests per 100K. And then over here, we can confirm that by going over us right there, 2,257. Well, that's got to be a typo. I know certainly that we've done more than places like the hotspots, like Spain, right? So so that's double us. Again, these are all typos. Italy, 3,005. Well, for example, Putin was way behind the curve on this, and he was ignoring it as a problem, basically denying that the coronavirus was killing any Russians. They certainly are behind us. So 2,200, okay, and then Russia, god damn it, 30, okay. Okay, but New Zealand, they shut the country down, right? So they didn't allow anybody in, nobody goes out. They shut the thing down, so they didn't need much testing. They're probably way behind us. Let's take a look. Okay. The Australians don't care about anything. They're, okay. 2,200. Okay, let's just creep up across the border in 2,500. So even with this, even with that way up there, we are still way out of the top. Oh, I saw someone, Tia, if you're watching, you said that we're 40th in testing now per capita. I don't doubt her figures because she's like a sciencer. Okay, back to Dr. Scarf.
And Philadelphia are still working through a very difficult time. So the country has moved as individuals, and what we are so proud about is how much the governors are using testing in a focused way. So they're not just diagnosing the individuals that come to the hospital.
Wow. So Dr. Scarf knows how to stay in her position. There's a reason we see her every day. I can't even. She likes that the governors are doing focused testing. My daughter can't get a test. That's the nice way of saying we don't have enough tests yet.
With symptoms, they're proactively going out and testing in nursing homes and prisons and testing everybody when they see one case in a meatpacking plant. And this is really...
Hold on a second. They're testing people in prisons. Honey, I need you to commit a crime. That's good parenting.
Allowing us insight, and we really appreciate the media calling out the asymptomatic spread, because we've been talking about it for 2 months, but now finally it's really getting picked up that there is asymptomatic spread, and that's why Governor is using that strategic testing to ensure that the most vulnerable, those in disadvantaged areas of the cities, in multi-generational households, those in group housing, those in nursing homes, those in prisons, they're aggressively doing what we call surveillance and surveillance testing. And I think we've just been very proud to watch the governors pick up on the federal guidelines that called that out as a very key point.
Do you think we'll be in a place in August where schools, at least in some states, will be able to reopen?
Well, again, it's a county by county, state by state decision, and that's how we're collecting data, and we're hoping, and we're asking all of the states to have a very, very great data system so that every community member can see what's happening in their community, both with hospitalizations and testing, and unfortunately any mortality. So these decisions can be continuously updated, and we're seeing that. We're seeing much better sites at the state and county level to really inform the public in a very clear way.
But Mr. President, you say you'd like to see schools open, just have people or teachers who are in risky age groups not go in or be more careful.
I would like to see schools open.
Sky Girl, I just retweeted. If anybody wants to see the testing charts that I reference here, I just tweeted them. So go to @KevinLeeFather on Twitter, and you'll be able to find links there so that you can tweet them to your Republican uncle, who will then not understand them and ignore them. But yeah, look at the big line. I don't know why your Republican uncle sounds just like Trump.
Open wherever possible, which I think is in much of the country.
Correction, I don't know why your drunk uncle sounds just like me trying to sound... Actually, I'm not even trying to sound like Trump.
Most of the country. No, I would say that until everything is perfect, I think that the teachers that are a certain age, perhaps you say over 60, especially if they have a problem with heart or diabetes or...
Somebody has a problem with heart.
Any one of a number of things. I think that they should not be teaching
when you think about it,
for a while.
He's all three characters in The Wizard of Oz. He has no heart, no brain, no whatever the other guy didn't have. Heart, brain, if I only had a brain. Heart, brain, courage. I knew it. Yeah, he is the Wizard of Oz.
And everybody would understand that fully. That we understand. But other than that, you see how well children seem to do. It's incredible. We realize how strong children are, right?
I just want to get to a chat here. Emma, they hold your blood in a lamb for a long-ass time to make sure... Okay, she corrected herself. They hold your blood in a lab for a long-ass time to make sure if you should need blood, they can make sure they have the right blood for you. So a little typo there, and I knew that was a typo because we're out of lamb. The food supply chain is shut down. Wendy's is out of beef. You can't buy lamb? That's how I knew Emma was wrong.
Their immune system is maybe a little bit different. Maybe it's just a little bit stronger. Or maybe it's
Wait, is he talking about kids not being able to catch it?
We realize how teaching school for a while, and everybody would understand that fully. That we...
I don't know about you guys, but I had a lot of older teachers when I was in school. Okay, all my teachers were older than me. But I mean, I had a couple of wonderful, I'm guessing over 60 teachers. They were probably 26, but... Because, I was 7. But like Mrs. Marnie had to be, God, she should have been retired. But I had old teachers. How do we continue if we're putting the kids into class, spreading them 6 feet apart? I don't know, recess is canceled forever, I'm guessing? And then having them wear, like, how do you keep a mask on a 7-year-old? And then, all day. And then... taking away a number of teachers. Somebody find a stat on that. How many teachers are plus 60? And again, you can catch this disease even if you are under 60. Case in point, Georges Larox's. Coming back. Sorry.
Understand. But other than that, you see how well children seem to do. It's incredible. We realize how strong children are, right?
Mongo.
The immune system is maybe a little bit different. Maybe it's just a little bit stronger. Or maybe it's a lot
Well, children's
stronger, right?
immune system is undeveloped.
We've learned a lot by watching this.
So my theory is, in terms of kids and their immune system, is that no one cares what I think about that.
Monster. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you soon. Yeah, see you in about 3 minutes.
Oh, something else is happening today too. I got stuff to do. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to hang around for about another minute so people can chat, and we'll finish that nonsense up. You're about 33 seconds behind me the last time we checked. Facebook is, Twitter's about 22. In other words, by the time I finish saying how far everybody is behind me, you'll all have caught up. D, courage, D. Who used to say that? Dan Rather? When I do an impression of Trump, it sounds like Mongo from Blazing Saddles. One of the funniest scenes in history, and I'm all about animals, but when Mongo walks out and punches the horse, I remember seeing a short doc. This is 1,000 years ago on television about them training the horse to do that. That wasn't CGI in those days. According to him, only 60 plus are high risk. I got a pacemaker at 32. Ooh, Stephanie. So nobody else at my age has one? I've had, I'm almost 50. And those of you who know me know that I am 50. And I have had a couple of heart attacks at 47. So what about the children that NBC did die? What about the children that NBC did die? He's ignoring that. NBC did a special on that? I'm not familiar with it. Oh, NBC is a typo. I should read from the bottom up. Really. Okay, I'm spreading the virus. Yes, children have died, and children are now coming up with Kawasaki syndrome, so also very bad. Yes, it's a bad death rate. The average age of teachers in America is 42. Ooh, Chris. Yeah, 60 plus teachers, says Sherry. You should stay away from school. A new teacher takes your place. We don't have new teachers. We're already facing a teacher shortage in this country because we pay them with peanuts. And so many of them are allergic to peanuts, which is the irony. No, thank you, Robin. Mongo only pawn in Game of Life. That is true. Oh, hey, ProTD. Good to see you. So that's it for the broadcast today. If you'd like to support future broadcasts, and it sounds like something else is coming up today, I don't know what the president was referring to there in 3 minutes, but that would have been about an hour ago. So we'll see what happens as the day goes on. I need to go find a sweater for my audition. Don't ask. And I need to record the audition, but I'll try and sneak something in if he goes on today. If you'd like to support the broadcast, go to kevinleefather.com. There goes my hand. And you can become a patron there so that you get your name. Today's broadcast brought to you by patrons Linda R., Debbie Troyer, Lizzie Dog, Martha Lever, Rick Mack, Jan Doris, Rick Mackey. Those are two different people. Robin Redstead O'Hearn, Stephanie Bohr, hey Stephanie, and Rodney Starr, my friend. I saw Robin in here today as well. Noel, hey Noel, good to see you. Stephanie, you've already been there. Stephanie says, I'm 57, my husband's 65. You grave robber. So he lucked out. By the way, Steph, you're out of his league, clearly. Oh, your husband's a teacher. And this is his last year. Oh, thank God, he's retiring. We might need him. And here's the thing. If the kids are all spaced 6 feet apart, you've got to do that in terms of in front of them and behind them. So you go from 30, 32 kids per classroom to 10 kids per classroom. Who's going to build all these extra schools? Well, we could use the Javits Center. I grew up near the Javits Center. All right, that's it for me. I will see you guys probably later on today. Let's see how the day goes. You can follow me on Twitter at kevinleefather.com for updates. I occasionally update Facebook, not that often. And if you're following me on YouTube, great. That's the best way to chat. Oh, hey, if you don't follow me on YouTube, do go to youtube.com/kevinleefather. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers so that I can go access YouTube space, which is now closed until further notice. So it's not that urgent at this point in time. Okay, everybody, I'm ending the broadcast. Love ya, mean it.